Hello once again out there to all you Planet Zoo fans. I am back today in my Riverside Zoo here in the game, and we are going to be building a little bit today because brand new DLC just dropped for the game. The last time I was actually in this zoo was when the last DLC dropped, and that's not something I actually planned out or intended to do. It's just kind of how it worked out because I have so many other projects and stuff that I have to work on and try to get done in so little time that honestly it's just how the cookie has crumbled. And you know, I have intentions with this game. I really want to get into this game. I really want to play it more than what I have been able to. I have plans for this zoo, and not just this zoo, but also for Silverwood Zoo. And I'd really like to try to start a new franchise zoo as well. I think that would be a lot of fun. I have all these ideas and creative stuff that I want to do in my head. I just cannot get into the game with enough time to sit down and build what I want to build and try to finish some stuff. But I keep putting it off. And then before you know it, it's been another 3 months and another DLC is again dropping, just like this week. So we just got the brand new Oceania DLC. And it's a pretty cool DLC, I gotta say. It really adds a lot to the game. We got some cool little creatures like the kiwi. We got little blue penguins. We got the Tasmanian devil, and not the one from the Looney Tunes cartoons. But yeah, and we also got a bunch of scenery stuff as well. And I love scenery. I love seeing all the new things I can build with. Even though it seems like I just pretty much just use rocks for the most part. That's a lot of rocks in this zoo. Probably got to be a lot of rocks today too. But anyway, I digress. So let's talk about what's on the screen right now. So as I've been talking, we've been getting a little bit of a tour of the zoo. This is the Africa section that we are in right now. And you just saw the sandcat exhibit that we built in the last episode as we passed by the meerkats here and this little waterfall. But you know, there's lots of other stuff in this zoo as well. And if you haven't actually watched any of these videos, I suggest going back and checking them out through the entire series because we've built all kinds of cool stuff like red pandas. There was the entrance we first built. We've got this awesome like reptile center and things, and I definitely recommend checking it out. But this is where we're going to be working today. This is going to be kind of our Australia, New Zealand area. All of this blank area that you see right here, my intentions was to have all of that over in this section. And since this is an Oceania DLC that we just got, we're going to be working with some of that. So one of the first things we're going to do here is we're going to delete this temporary path that we built. It may have been in the last episode. It may have been in a live stream that I did. I don't really remember, but I needed a path to kind of go down to the Africa area from here to try to get some of the people that were crowded up in that area. But what we're going to do is we're going to build the first habitat for one of our animals out of the Oceania DLC, and that's going to be those little blue penguins, which I think are so cute. And as soon as I saw them in this pack, I was like, yep, that's what we're going to work with today. I also have plans to maybe work with the Tasmanian devil as well, and probably those little kiwis too. Like I said before, I think this pack is a really good pack. I didn't really know a whole lot about these little blue penguins. I had never really heard of them or anything, but I did a little bit of research before I started building here. And it's interesting because when I think of penguins, like me personally, when I think of penguins, I usually think of like ice and like really cold weather. And I had no idea that there were actually penguins that don't really prefer the cold weather so much. These guys are perfectly fine in, I wouldn't say hot weather, but warm weather. They live on the coast of New Zealand and Australia, and that actually makes them perfect for the first animal that you're going to see as you start to enter into our Australia section. Because I wanted something here that was going to like really stand out, and what stands out better than penguins? So let's talk a little bit about what it is I'm doing on the screen. I'm currently using the faux rocks, which have quickly become my go-to piece for pretty much everything. And I'm using them to kind of design the idea of the habitat, where the shoreline is going to be meeting the waterline, basically. This way I can kind of have it, can shape it, essentially. So I had actually a lot of different ideas for how I was going to go about doing this enclosure. Different kinds of concept art and things that I was looking at, and a lot of stuff kind of caught my eye about what I wanted to do, but I just wasn't really sure how to go about it. So the first plan that I had was to have it where you walk up and you have this glass kind of in front of you, and you can see the penguins kind of swimming around. Not deep swimming, just you can kind of see them there. And then in the background would be kind of a shore, and they would be on the shore as well. And then you could maybe walk into this cave system, and then from the back side you would be able to see them deep diving. That was my original thought, but I tried it out and I just wasn't happy with it because you couldn't really see the penguins that were on land. So I changed it to a different concept art style that I liked, and this one had kind of where you walked up and you could kind of see over into the habitat, and then I kind of mixed it in with this other idea that I had of being able to go down into a cave system, you know, like I said before, and seeing the deep dive down there. But I still wanted to add a little bit more to it, so I decided to kind of combine these all together, all my ideas. So the essential idea here is that you're going to walk up to this habitat. It's going to be the first big habitat that you have as you start to go into the Australia section. And you can also go to the right and go kind of down into the Africa section here as well. Sort of an entry point. And the first thing you're going to see is this habitat, like I said, and you'll be able to look down over into the habitat. So you'll be able to see the penguins kind of swimming on the surface. You'll be able to see them, you know, walking around on the shore line and stuff like that. You'll be able to go to your left and be able to go into a cavern system, which is going to lead over into the Australia section as well. Kind of a coral reef idea is what I was going to go for that, which we don't get into today, but that's where that's kind of going to head. And then you'll be able to pass by a giant glass where you could see them deep diving over on that side. But on the right hand side, when you go around that direction to go towards the Africa section, you would then be able to have that first idea that I had, where you'd be able to see them kind of swimming, not deep diving, but you could still see them swimming over there. So that side was going to be a little lower. So you have this raised point, which essentially is, I've just kind of dug the habitat down and into a pit where you can kind of look over into it. I then dug down on the other side, which you'll see me do here in a minute, to do the deep diving part, and then also have that area where you'll be able to see them and just kind of swimming around. So what I'm doing right now is I've taken the faux rocks, and I thought about the penguins, the little blue penguins, and I kind of thought about what the shore of New Zealand and Australia would look like. And I tried to find like different images or videos of them in their natural habitat, and what I could find was it wasn't exactly sunny. Like I wasn't seeing palm trees and things like that, which I see a lot of people when they do, like, say, the African penguin exhibit. Even some people who use the modded blue penguins were, you know, putting all these palm trees and stuff in, and it was very deserty, very sand looking. From what I could see, that really wasn't how I wanted to go. I wanted to kind of make this look more like a rocky kind of shore. So I decided to go with more of a grayish kind of rock texture. And I think that fits. And it's a good thing because I really like the fact that you can use the faux rocks. And I mean, like I said, they're just pretty much a go-to standard. You can paint them any color you want to kind of match any habitat that you want to do. But I went with this gray. I'm still going to add in some sand and dirt and stuff, as you can see here. It's just more of a grayish kind of sand. We'll still do some Australian foliage, maybe some sort of palm trees, just not like the big palm trees that you think of when you think palm trees, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So again here, what you see me doing now is just kind of filling in a habitat. I'm using some of this like broken up rock pieces just to kind of span it around everywhere. You know, just, I say span, but I actually meant spam. Just kind of spam it everywhere, and then just kind of dig it down into the dirt. And then we're going to use some more of the faux rocks just to kind of give the habitat a little bit more character. And I really think this actually works quite a bit. I've also placed that rock arch in the background because that is going to be the entrance into the habitat for our zookeepers. I'm also thinking once we start doing the back of the habitat, we'll probably do some little caves, some tiny little caves that will be the shelter for our penguins. It was just a matter of just trying to get the right heights and everything, which is why in the very beginning you saw me do, like, I placed down the faux rock first about where I wanted it, and then that was going to be like our shoreline. So then I dug down from there to make the pit, and then once I started using the rocks to dig down from there, and then I could kind of make the water level to where I wanted it to be. Now I'm kind of doing about the same thing here. I've just basically made this this one rock wall, and I'm going to kind of just spam it everywhere in order to kind of do this kind of quick. I was trying to make this habitat as quick as I possibly could to kind of get this video out, and it is going to be about a week after the DLC has come out before I'm actually getting this up, so it's probably the weekend at this point by the time you guys are seeing this. But in order to make things just a little faster, I'm just kind of using the same rock base that I've kind of made here to just do the back of the wall. I've also made these outcroppings kind of come around this curved kind of path, and I really like the idea of having it where you could walk in to the area and then just the path just kind of be like a curve inward where you could kind of look over into the habitat. I want to kind of do the same thing down here where I'm digging at right now, and this is going to be where you'll be able to see them swimming. Not diving, just swimming over on that side. The diving section is going to be on the left-hand side of the habitat over there. So let's go ahead and start working now on the actual habitat barriers. I'm putting in glass right here, but I'm going to make that a null barrier because we're going to just put in some fencing there. I've dug the entire enclosure down enough that the penguins are going to be fine without, they're not going to be able to get out from that front section there where there's not just going to be a fence. I've tested it, so I do know that they won't be able to get out. They're just tiny little penguins. They're not going anywhere. I was actually surprised about how small these little guys were when I first placed them into the kind of testing area that I had, because I wanted to kind of see how they worked and everything. One thing, I mean, I really love the fact that we can place down these habitat barriers and stuff and do fencing and things with this, and I do like the way this works. I personally just have some trouble with it though, and I wish it was just a little easier to work with, especially with curved walls. I had so much trouble trying to get the right curves for my glass and the display areas that I wanted to do. Working with the back areas, that's not going to be a huge problem. I could just put some concrete back there. It's all covered up. You're not going to be able to see any of that anyway. But just trying to get those curves of the glass, to me, I struggle with that. So we're going to place in our habitat door as you see here. And again, this is going to be where our keepers are going to be entering in to be able to take care of our little penguin guys, our penguins. And just adding a little bit more rocks, because again, where I just kind of used the same rock design and just kind of spammed it everywhere, I also just kind of took some different rocks and just kind of put them here and there to kind of make it look like it just wasn't a repeating pattern. I did my best to try to do that. I'm sure it didn't really come out perfect, but again, I was trying to do this as speedy as I possibly could. It actually has taken me longer to edit and do this voiceover for this than it has to actually do this entire habitat. I did the habitat probably in about 6 hours, I would say. So this is about 6 hours of footage that I've gone through, cut up, and just chose the best parts of it. I was hoping to try to make this video shorter, but it just wasn't going to work, and it's going to be a little bit longer of a video than what I would prefer. So what you're seeing me do now is I had the idea that I wanted to be able to, when you walked up to the glass, not this side, but the other side, not the deep dive side, but I wanted to be able to kind of walk up to it and you would be able to see them swimming, and I wanted to do the path at kind of a raised area. That way I could kind of dig out underneath of it and have the glass like almost right up against the path. And just looking at it here, what I've cut out here is me struggling to try to find and get that to work just right, because I just couldn't get the right angles of the raised path to work the way I wanted it to do. And I eventually just decided just not to do that at all. We'll just flatten it all, and then it'll just be, when you walk down on this specific level, you would be just right up against the glass, and everything would be on the same level there as what the water is. So that's kind of what I cut out there, was just me just struggling trying to get that to work, and just not being happy with anything I was doing there. So I think this worked out better. So let's as you can see here, you can walk up to it, you can see the water, and it's just kind of dug out a little bit. And then we're going to remove the water once again, because you can't work with the area with the water in the habitat. So I'm going to come back over here, and I decided this just wasn't deep enough over here on the deep dive side. So I went back and dug it down a little bit more, and then I'm just trying to find the right pattern of the path here to kind of get just the right curve at just the right place, if that makes sense, to try to get this to work. I didn't want it to be too far in, but I also didn't want it to be too far out either. And I think this is a happy medium that I've kind of come up with here. I did struggle a little bit with trying to get the barrier, the habitat barrier, to work at some of these angles that I was working with, as far as not the curved angles, which I've already discussed, but I mean trying to get it to connect to the different levels of the land. So I had to do a lot of smoothing and stuff, and I've cut a lot of that out as well. So next up, we are going to be working on the terrain here in order to get our guests from the upper viewing area down to the lower viewing area here. And for this, I'm going to use a trick that I used to use all the time. In fact, I even made a tutorial video on this, so if you guys are interested in watching how to do this the right way, you can go check that out. But it's been so long since I've actually played Planet Zoo and used this that I kind of forgot how to do it. So I'm just kind of struggling here in order to try to remember how it works. It's pretty easy, but I guess I just kind of forgot. So we are going to now redo some paths down here and try to get a path that kind of curves inward along with that glass there, and then we have to be able to get the path to slope down on what I just did there, and then kind of come down here and connect into this. So just kind of make a little viewing area here, and all in all, I think it came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it in the end. Just I wasn't sure about this specific path pattern, so I end up changing this in a little bit over to a darker gray. I like this to begin with, but I just wasn't happy with it. Also, you can see me kind of re-smoothing this too here, because it wasn't right the first time I did it, so I had to go back and try to change that. It's still not perfect, but it'll do, I think, just to kind of get this area done and then kind of move on to the next thing. And here I am, of course, changing the pattern of the path over to a darker stone. And we're going to do the same thing over here on the other side. So this is going to be kind of the cave that the guests will enter, and they're going to go down inside of this cave and then go around to the back side of the viewing area in order to see the deep diving of our little penguins here. Again, I just used that terrain stamp tool and just kind of smooth everything out to where I needed it. And then we're going to take some of the stonework that we've already had, the rock work, and we're just going to kind of shift it around in order to kind of have it curve upwards. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side here as well. And we're just going to make our cave out of these rocks. And that's just pretty much all there is to this. And just kind of enclosing everything in, which I'm then going to cover with some, I think I used scavola or like later on to kind of make that work. Just got to make a different kind of rock pattern here. That way I can kind of cover everything up. It almost looks like a claw, really, when you kind of think about it. But yeah, it works pretty good. I mean, from looking at it from different angles and stuff, it doesn't look very good from above. But when you're actually inside it and from ground level, like as a guest, it works perfectly. We're just going to cover up the rest of the area here using our rocks, trying to make our viewing area down there look just as good as we possibly can, and just add in more rock work. So our habitat here was looking just a little barren, and I wanted to give it a little bit more texture, so to say. So I took some of these loose rocks and kind of placed them down here and there. And then I also wanted to add this little feature here, which was in the concept art that I was working from, where it had this kind of a little ramp that went over top of our little what would that be? It wouldn't really be a riverbed. Wouldn't really be a creek bed. Well, anyway, I just wanted it to go over the water, and that way our penguins could not only swim across, but they could also walk across this. And I thought it added a little something nicer to the entire habitat. And I just used the rock arch, the faux rock arch that you can use to make like cave entrances and stuff with, and I kind of placed that in there over top of it, and then used it again a couple more times with some other of the faux rock there. This was me just trying to figure out how I was going to get them down on the other side, and I thought about using those steps there, but it just wasn't working for me. In the end, I just ended up taking some things from the other side here and placing them down, and just if I angled them just the right way, it works. I wasn't sure if the penguins would actually walk across this or not, but I have tested it and they do, so it works just fine actually. We'll see that towards the end of the video, most likely. So next up is just kind of fixing our path work a little bit here and filling in the blank spaces in between the path and our actual habitat there. So I'm just going to move some of these rocks around a little bit, maybe copy and paste a few here and there, just to kind of fill in that space. And one trick I like to do to kind of get these right angles, because I don't like the sharpness of where the paths kind of meet and everything there. So what I'll do is I'll take a small path and kind of angle it off of it, and then I will delete that path, and then it makes a curve kind of as you see here. If you guys are interested in maybe learning a little bit more about that trick, I could do a tutorial video on it. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments below. Now for our upper viewing area here of our habitat, I wanted to do fence instead of just like a solid wall of glass or like netting or anything like that. So I thought the fence would work much better. There is no way that the penguins are actually going to get out from the habitat to this upper area, so the fence was going to work just fine. And I wanted to use some of these new Oceania DLC pieces. So I started taking a look through the new scenery pieces we got, and I found these posts, which I thought were really cool, and also these poles here, which come in all kinds of different sizes, but I thought these were the perfect just for making fences. They're just the perfect size there. And so I just kind of repeat the pattern all the way over through here. I put a fence post down and 2 of the poles, but it just wasn't good enough, so I decided to go back and I tilted one of the poles kind of upwards like that and moved it into place, and then I took another one and we just kind of tilted that one down, and then I was like, yeah, that works, let's just repeat that pattern. So we have another one going up and another one going down like that until we get over to the other side over here, and that worked out really good. I was really happy with how my fence there came out. I also wanted to add in some little shelters for our penguins. Doing a little penguin caves, so to speak. So I worked around on the rock over here and kind of smoothed out the land a little bit, and I tried to make like little holes in the wall where our penguins could get in and out of. This may need some adjusting. I'm not sure exactly whether or not they're going to be able to get inside of there. If I need to, I could probably make them a little bigger. Well, we'll see how that works once we get our penguins into the habitat. Now I also wanted to decorate in with some foliage, because foliage always makes a habitat look much better. Without it, it does just look kind of barren, and we don't want a barren habitat. We want a nice habitat for our penguins. So I took a look at some of the new Oceania DLC foliage that we got, and I wanted to kind of use almost all of that exclusively for this habitat. And I mean, I think I do end up using a little bit from some of the other stuff that we got, some of the base game stuff, but I wanted to really use a lot of the new stuff when I was trying to build this. And yeah, I think it comes out pretty good. The trees are kind of nice in this one. Some different variations would have been nice, but it is what we have. And then I just kind of threw in some grass and other things here and there just to kind of fill out everything and make it look a little more cluttered. I don't know if cluttered's the right word or not. Now down here for the viewing area, I wasn't happy with the way that the path just kind of stops before it even gets up to the glass there. So I took a look around and I found these pieces here, which I thought made decent, what's the word? Columns? I don't know. Just curved pieces. Yeah, they made decent curving for that. And then I'm going to take some more of that loose rock that we have, the faux rock that's just kind of loose cobblestone, I don't know, whatever it is, and place it down inside, like on the water's floor. And I'm also going to use some of this, I forgot what this is called, hydrilla or something like that. But it's just like, you know, seaweed for the most part in a way. And I put some of that down and just kind of filled in some areas, and just to kind of make the water's floor, the river floor, pond floor, whatever this is, the enclosure's floor. I just wanted to kind of get that kind of looking nice from a viewing point where our guests are going to be seen underneath there anyway. I wanted it to kind of look nice for them. So, I mean, the penguins aren't going to care, but I like how it came out. And we're going to use that curving again here this is the lower viewing area where the deep diving is taking place. I wanted to kind of fill in that gap as well right there. And I used the same thing I did on the upper middle viewing area. Now for our cave, we need an entrance. So I'm going to use that faux rock arch again here. And we're going to build a little cave entrance for our guests to go in. And just kind of adjust a few things here and there. And just kind of make it look so that, again, I didn't want our rock pattern to look like it was repeating. And now I'm going to turn my attention back over here. I'm just kind of jumping and skipping around to a lot of different parts here. But we're going to come back over to where our middle viewing area was and some foliage into this. Wanted to give a little bit of shade to our guests as they stand here and watch our penguins swim around. And just, again, I wanted to kind of use some palm trees and some other stuff here to just kind of give it that New Zealand, Australia kind of feel here. This also does connect up to our Africa section, as I said earlier, so you know, I wasn't afraid to use a little bit of mixed foliage here. Yeah, I think that would end up being fine. Don't actually know where this zoo is located anyway, so yeah, you know, as far as what trees and stuff we can use, I'm pretty sure we could just plant about anything we wanted and make it look fine. Now I'm going to be kind of filling in some gaps here. I wanted to give our rocks more of color, so to say, and wanted to give it a little bit cover as well, and just kind of fill in a lot of the nothingness that we have on top of the habitat. Also, I needed to kind of hide the backstage area here as well, because we are eventually going to be adding an entire cavern system back here where our guests will be going through, and it's going to look like a coral reef kind of area with kind of an aquarium. And so I needed to cover that up. So I thought we just put these big patches of scaevola on top there, and that worked fine. And now I've just kind of moved on here to just placing down this. Now I ended up, I wanted to kind of put all of this into one area, so it kind of guides the guests towards the cave here. And by doing so, I ended up blocking access to our Fusa habitat for our staff. So we're going to have to fix that a little bit as well. And I'm just going to kind of cleared out the area here. I'm just going to connect the Fusa staff building to the path I have going back here to our red pandas. And that worked out pretty well. I think that actually is going to work even better, honestly, because the path is going to come around from our vet building up there. And it's going to be a much shorter path for our staff members to walk. And speaking of staff members and staff facilities, we're going to need some of those up here for our penguin habitat. But it is on a higher level than what our path down below here is. So I'm going to use that terrain stamp tool trick again and smooth everything out, which I'm starting to get the hang of. And we're going to place some just temporary pathing back here for the time being, because I got a lot more things I need to do later on in this. So we'll just copy our entrance to our cave over here on this side and mix it in with that. It wasn't flowing really well with my path that I first made there, so I ended up tearing that out and just kind of redoing the path here, just kind of fixing it up. Again, it's all going to be temporary because I have an entire aquarium and coral reef section that we're going to be building on the back side of this that goes into our Australia section here. We are going to need a couple of things back here for now, though, and I was thinking a staff building and a keeper hut would be perfect back here, and I was able to fit those in easily right there. And then we're just going to cover it all up with some more of that scabola, which I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's like weeds, basically. I'm just going to cover it up with some grass and make it look very tropical. Alright, so we now have everything done except it needs some sort of centerpiece. So when the guests are coming down towards the habitat, as they're approaching it, they can kind of see something that's going to guide their attention to what's in front of them. And that, of course, is going to be a statue of some penguins. This was pretty simple, honestly. I tried my best to put some thought into what I would put here, but I don't have a whole lot of options as far as penguin statues. And I even went on to the workshop and I tried to find maybe something that somebody else has created that might be better than what I would do, and I didn't really find anything that would work for me. So I just basically put some rocks down, some flat rocks here, placed them down as a little bit of a base. And then I just took some of these little penguin statues here that we have in the game, just kind of placed them here and there and fixed them just about right. I thought 3 penguins would do it. I did actually attempt to try to do some different stuff with this. Like, I really like these pieces there I was just about to place down. I really like them a lot. They're really cool. And I was like, I don't want to use them here, because I want to use them for our emperor or king penguins instead that we'll be using later on the other side of the zoo. So we're going to be building eventually an entire polar exhibit for polar bears and penguins and other stuff like that. So that's going to be, I wanted to use that over there and not here. I thought using it in 2 different places would just be a little much. Something else I did try was there are some smaller little penguin statues, but they are a different color, and they didn't really kind of fit too well. But what does really fit are these absolutely amazing looking habitat and education boards that I found from Diamond Sky. So I want to give a huge shout out to them for posting these onto the Steam Workshop. Found these while I was looking for the penguin statues, and I was like, oh, you know what, I need some habitat boards. So I started looking for some of those, and yeah, these are better than anything I could have created. They're African themed, but I think they fit this, especially after changing the colors to these 2 different shades of green. I think they fit that really, really well, and I'm very, very happy with it. I think they totally complete the look here that I was trying to achieve for the first, kind of as you're coming into our Oceania area and you're starting to see the penguins. Totally makes up for the not so great penguin statues that I have here. So now we have all of the construction complete. I've added in final details here and there to the habitat, but I'm very, very happy with this. I think it's a great addition to the zoo as we kind of come up here from where our Fusa habitat is here on our left, and our red pandas over here to the right. All of these guests just kind of crowded up down in here. I guess they all want to see the Fusa and the red pandas. So hopefully this will, kind of make some of these guests dissipate into other areas of the zoo as we start building more. At least I hope so anyway. But they're going to kind of come down through here and they're going to be guided in, welcomed by our penguin friends into the Oceania area. We've got our coral reef cavern start over here, which we're going to be adding on to more later on. We've got our little penguin habitat here. As you can see, I've done a little bit more work. I've added a underwater feeder over here into the deep part to get them to come over in here. I've done some terrain painting as well, adding in a little bit of green and some sand and some dirt. We've got sprinklers set up. I think our penguins would really, really like that. We've got a feeder, and then we have some of the caverns and stuff hidden by just some foliage here and there. And of course, we got that little rock arch that they can kind of walk across over here, and then you can kind of come down through here and come around this way. And then we have our little viewing area down here, which I really, really like that. I think that's a great view right there. I've also added in some just trees and stuff over here to the side, some bushes to kind of cover up the area. There's our path going into our red panda for our zookeepers. So the next thing we need to, of course, do is add in our actual penguins to our little habitat. That way, kind of give them a new home. So let's take a look here, and we want little penguins. There we go. Now, this is a pretty good size area, and these guys are quite small. So I'm not even going to look at what their stats are. I'm just going to buy all of them. Let's just adopt every one of these guys. They all need a home. It's got to be somewhere. Might as well be here. We shouldn't be choosy if we're going to, try to maybe bring some of these penguins back and give them some love and care, because maybe they haven't seen that. Maybe they've just been pets to somebody who's treated them badly. We don't know. We want to make sure that they get a good home, though. So let's see. We have 4 already. So I'll take these 4 and we'll put them in here. There we go. And of course, I got to go live. And I don't know. Should we get another 8? You know what? Let's get 6 total. This one seems good. We'll grab that one. And let's see, between the 2 males that we have, that one or that one, I'm going to go with this one here. Let's adopt that one. And there we go. Let's go over to our animal storage. There we go. Send to zoo. So with these top 2 here. And we'll add those 2 into that. You know what? I think this whole habitat is actually just even too big for 6 of those little penguins. I think we could give it a home to something else. Let's go back into animal trading. Go back here to the market. Let's find African penguins. Let's see. And we actually have some really good choices for African penguins. So let's go ahead and grab these guys as well. So we'll adopt these 4. And we can put them in there too. So I think that's probably good. Let's send them all over here as well. We're going to combine the little penguins and the African penguins into one enclosure. Because originally what I wanted to do was have a penguin habitat like down here on the African area, and then we was going to have the coral reef cavern kind of go around and up into from here. That's originally what I wanted to do, but then we got the little blue penguins, and I thought, well, we need to find a nice place for them, so we kind of changed plans. But I don't see any reason why we can't combine the 2 into one. Since I don't want to do 2 different penguin habitats over here, we might as well make the home for the African penguins too. I think that's a good idea. We're totally going to do that. So we need to go live and then actually get our penguins in over here. And the first of our penguins have arrived. Looks like so far we have 3 of the little blue penguins, which are making their way to the water, and at least 1 of our African penguins. Wow, he really is much bigger than these little guys. I see totally now why they call them little penguins, because they are quite small. They seem to already be enjoying the little sprinkler here that I put in for them, or at least this one is. He's really liking the little bath he's getting. He seems very, very happy with that. That's really cute. And the African penguin has already made his way into the water, swimming around. I bet that, let's see what that looks like from out here. Yeah. It's a little too sunny. I think I may need to fix the shade a little bit here. Let me do that real quick. What I'm probably going to do is I'll take this section of rock right here and we'll move that out to maybe form a little bit of shade here. Alright, I've got the rock kind of fixed here. Let's see what this looks like down here now. From our viewing area, that's much better. There's still a little bit more sun coming down here, causing a little bit of glare at the bottom. But that's not terrible. That does look much better, I think. Yeah, much better indeed. Now we have the African penguin really enjoying the sprinkler there too. That's so cute. I've been wanting to add penguins into my zoo for so long. And it's a shame that I've waited this long to actually do it. And so far, only 1 of our penguins has made his way over here to this kind of mid-level viewing area over here. He doesn't seem too happy over here. May need to do something over here to get them to come over this way a little more. What about our rock platform? I'd like to see maybe a couple of them maybe making their way across that. Ask and you shall receive. Here comes one of our little blue guys waddling his way right across that arch. That is so cute. That is perfect. That is exactly what I wanted to see right there. Fantastic. Now the next question is, are they able to get into their little shelters here? So let's take a look at the heat map. Let's go to habitat. There we go. And traversable area. We'll click on this little guy here. And no, it doesn't look like they can get in there. So I'm going to rearrange the rocks here a little bit, kind of widen these openings and see what we can do. Alright, after messing around with them for a little bit, let's take another look here and grab that penguin. Come here. Come here, you. Well, that one will do too. If the big guy can get in there, the little guy can too. That will work just fine. Now they've got their little nest back in here as well, where they can do their sleeping and just, you know, kind of get away from the public if they need to. They're shy penguins. Our guests have started making their way over here to view our little guys. And let me see. We also need to set up our education board. So we could do African penguin on this side. Actually, you know what? No. Let's do the little penguins on this side. Oh, look at that picture. That is so cute. And then we can come over here on this side, and this will be the African penguins on this side of the board. Yeah, that works perfectly. Yep. All right, so that's going to do it for this episode of Planet Zoo. Hopefully, I can get back in here very, very soon, and I can kind of finish up some more work on some other habitats that I want to do. I really want to do the coral reef area. I think that would look really cool. But I have so many other animals that I also would like to play with. We have the new kiwi birds. Those would be cute, I think so. And I want to do the outback area. I've always wanted to do kangaroos, and I've yet to do that. I don't even have any tigers or anything in the zoo either yet. And I'm a huge, big cat person, so gotta get those in there. And again, with any luck, hopefully I can get back in here, record some more, do some more building very, very soon, without waiting until the next DLC comes out. But we'll see what happens. Until then, guys, thank you so much for watching. Very much appreciate it. A huge shout out to everybody who has subscribed to the channel. If you are just tuning in and you haven't seen my zoo yet before, definitely go back and watch the entire series. It's amazing how much my attitude towards this game has changed since it first came out, because I was not a fan when it first came out. But they have fixed the game. They've added DLC. They've added in animals that just have made, you know, so many improvements in the game, I think, since when it first came out, that, yeah, again, my whole attitude has just completely changed towards this game, and I really enjoy it now a lot more than I did in the beginning. So that's going to do it. Wherever you guys are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and I'll see you in the next video.